The forest was shrinking, but the trees kept voting for the axe was clever and convinced the trees that because his handle was made of wood, he was one of them. Stop voting for the axe. On November 2nd, vote for Roger Garlock, Coeur d'Alene City Council seat number 2, putting residents first.
Local politics affects the type of neighborhood you live in, the schools your kids go to. It has such an impact on our lives. And so this is where we really need to stand up and say, no, we're done with all these hidden agendas that we haven't known about or been asked permission to do. The very first moment I saw that lake, you could see everything out there and you just see that natural beauty. The culture, the town itself, the people here, we've created something special, and you can be you. I've seen people from all different walks of life. Like I said, there's people moving here, but they all come here for those same reasons that I came here and I stayed here. Or people who are born and raised, they've stayed here. They have those individual freedoms where they can raise their families in safety, and they could have opposing political beliefs, and they can make choices for themselves. They don't need to have a government official force something on them like what happened with our mask mandates, whereas my opponent had done that. And it's like, I trust in my neighbor to do what's right for them and me. We are an accepting town. We're such a friendly town, and you see people helping each other. One of those things that we have so much is that single family environment. This is a place to raise your kids. They can grow, and families will stay here long term, and children can stay here. And that is being taken away from us. It's being taken away from our kids. One of the saddest things is when you talk to somebody and they talk about the expenditures of living here now because of that unmitigated growth and that high density housing, that kids are having to leave the towns they lived in. Nobody's ever asked the residents, hey, does our town handle 30,000 more residents? Do you want 30,000 more residents? Because with that comes high-rise towers blocking that beautiful lake I talked about, overcrowded schools, which we already have. You're going to be stuck in traffic driving home. You know, the crime rate's going to go up with high-density housing, and our police department, our fire departments are already stretched thin. And the other reality is our town already grows by 30,000 people for 4 months out of the year. But then what happens 20 years from now when we're not a boomtown anymore? That we just have all these apartment complexes everywhere. Imagine what that looks like. It wouldn't be a town that you would recognize anymore. And so, again, we need to preserve that. We don't need to be doing zone changes to anybody who asks for them. There's definitely a kind of cronyism aspect to downtown, whether it's the individuals on the 2030 board, which are all developers, and a current city council. My opponent sits on that board, and they're a quasi-arm of the local government, the Planning and Zoning Commission. So they want to cram in people as much as possible. You're having a transitional environment of people coming and going from apartment complexes. They might help some people in the short run, but there's no long-term aspect to it. So the local population is going to be pushed out. We're all waiting for that single-family environment, yet we're not doing that here. We're doing zone changes to accommodate and be reactionary and cash in on some popularity because of what has happened over the last decade. That's where we really need to focus on the people who are already here and really try to be in depth with some of the reasons why people are coming here. And they're not coming here to live in apartments. They're coming in here to make a home for themselves. They're coming here for that culture that I talked about, and that peace and that family environment, that rural, slow environment where they can be themselves and raise their families. And they're coming here for freedom. They want to get away from everything our town is trying to become. They want our town of today, and they want our town of 10 years ago. We need to preserve that. I'm running as a change ticket. I want to make change to the status quo, but the status quo is all about trying to change as quickly as possible and turn our town into something that it's not. We have a chance right now to put a stop to it. This is a pivotal year for Coeur d'Alene. Our agenda now is to preserve Coeur d'Alene and get rid of all of the stuff that they want to adopt and all of those changes that are going to pack us into Coeur d'Alene, have 80,000+ people into the city limits, and just destroy everything that we've talked about. This is that year to make a change.